Yeah, that's right, y'all. WBD, we back live on air. It's the Brothers of the Man radio show. The Honorable Trav P in the building. What's up, baby?
What's going on, fam? I want to say this right here coming in. It's been a long time since I've been on with the fam, and I'm happy and I feel good. And I just want to say that, ain't it about time for a new hero? Yeah, be that hero, baby.
Yeah, man. And the Snow White Princess stats on deck in the building.
What up, what up?
Nah. And you know you gotta have your main man, Mr. Make It Do What It Do in the building, Mr. Entertainment. All about that thing day. Yup. And I'm here. And General Cap will be joining us sometime throughout the afternoon. And I want to give a big shout out to my kids at the Hope Youth Network.
Yes.
I hope you enjoyed their show. And give them a round of applause.
Ooh, ooh.
Because you know what, children, you have to let them be themselves and allow them to be able to groom and to mold them and let their voices be heard. And I think they did a phenomenal job. This is their second go round. The first time we did a little practice, and then today we said, you know what, throw them in the fire, baby. I remember growing up, my parents used to just throw me out there to the wolves. Sink or swim, stats. Sink or swim.
Oh, no, that's a true story
Yeah,
for me.
man.
That's how I learned how to swim.
Oh, my bad.
I was thrown in the
Sheesh.
pool and was like, you better make it.
Is that considered child abuse?
I mean, don't everybody tell little funny kiki stories about little stuff like that?
Yeah, but
I mean,
don't
I'm
like
just
throw my
saying.
kid in the pool, stats. I mean, you know.
I'm just saying.
Turn your
My
parents in for
cousin
that one.
pushed me in the pool.
See?
And I
Wow.
learned.
Just saying, hope you make it.
I mean, I always thought that sink or swim was like a
That's
cliche.
called survival.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, dang. Well, my survival skills has always been subpar. But you know what? I will say this, though, in all fairness to survival, is that how many of you have ever left home as a teenager?
Me,
Trev, how old were you when you first left your mom and dad's house?
I was 21.
Oh, wow. So you're a rare case. On average, no, seriously.
no, that is
On
rare, yeah.
average, 18 years old, they out the house.
I was 17.
On average. So
Yeah.
now, mind you, I didn't say go back, because there's some young men still on their mama couch to this day playing the Nintendo. Need to get somewhere and get a job. But at some point, though, you have to have those survival skills. And we went back and forth on this show about when's the right time to leave home, get out on your own, start a family. And I think 18 to me now is that magic number to go to school and, get at least 2 years of education, at least minimum 2 years. And you know what? I'm not super big on spending all your money on education, but I do agree that, you do need some form of education to make it, to be able, let me say this, to be able to understand the system that's around you. Whether it's nursing and, all these other jobs that's out there. But I do want to empower my people to understand that do something that's going to allow you to be able to be self-sufficient at some point in life. It's kind of like, and some people take this the wrong way when I say it, but I got to say it with a straight face too, is that it's kind of like a welfare system where, if you need it, it's there. And, have pride or whatever and say, you know what, I need help. Go out and get that assistance. And then at some point you should be able to use that long enough to get back on your feet and do things on your own. I think a job is the same way. Is when you go on this job, I would like for people to go with a different mindset that, you know what, I'm going to give this job a certain amount of time. And after that certain amount of time, I'm going to invest in myself. Why do we teach, self building and self-development, self-awareness, self, but yet we're not self-efficient. Like that don't make sense to me. So we need to start shifting our thinking to become self-efficient and start, letting these companies work for us. They train you, they pay you. At some point, you should be able to do the same thing if you have the willpower to do so. Not everyone can be an entrepreneur or choose to be an entrepreneur. That's fine. But those that have the mindset do not feel like you're stuck. You're going to have to make a decision to say, you know what? This is it. I'm ready to go out here on faith and make this thing happen. And if I fail, then I'll go back and get a job. You know?
That's always
at
an
least
option.
Try it.
And that's the thing. I mean, sometimes it's hard to find a job, but for the most part, getting a job, going to put in an application and getting hired somewhere is kind of always an option. So do something else, because that's kind of something that you can always fall back on. You can always go shake up the fries. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean.
Yeah, man. And the last thing, go ahead.
Oh yeah, in my situation, like when I moved out, and one of the reasons that I like you said, it's a rare case, and I did stay home till I was 21. My father always told me, he said, I never tell you when you gonna leave, but trust and understand, when you leave, you ain't coming back. So, and I don't know if he meant it or not,
child,
but
I'm gonna have to take my time
you
now.
know, that's what he told me. So in that preparation, you know, I was a good teenager and a good child, so I always handled my responsibility. They were stern about what I needed to do in order to stay there, and I fulfilled all those things. And he, you know, I was prepared when I did move, and when I did move, I bought my first home at 21. So it's like I've been a homeowner ever since I moved out of my parents' house. And my daddy prepared me and helped me understand what life was about. He said, take your opportunity to do some of the things that you want, because when you get out there in that world, it's real. So as a parent, sometimes it's our responsibility to somewhat train them in the sense of the sensei or the master or the Karate Kid type aspect, that when they do step out, whether it's 18 or 21, it's our responsibility to know that they prepared for the world too.
At 21, where was your mindset when you went out to buy this house? Did you feel like you was pressured, or did you know as you were in the house with your parents that, you know what, the best thing to do is be a homeowner?
Well, when I graduated from high school, I had the opportunity to go to college, and it was a decision. And I'm not going to say I regret the decision, but I knew that I wasn't serious about education, and I was only about football, and you know, it didn't work out how I wanted to be. So I was blessed to get a great job after I graduated. And let's say at 18 years old, I was making $50,000 a year. And so in that aspect of me being 18 making this money, and I told myself, I said, I make more money than a lot of people parents right now. And everybody said, well, you know, a job ain't guaranteed. So I told myself, since I didn't go to college, that in the 4 years it would take me to graduate, I would have a home and I would have all the things that someone who would go to college to get a degree would have to work for when they got out. So that was my ambition since I was 18, and I just always had that mature mind to understand what I wanted. And my daddy stayed on me to make sure I was putting myself in preparation to do that.
But I like what you said, because you said your parents prepared you. Mm-hmm. There's a big difference in preparing your child for what's getting ready to come next, and, you know, letting them lean on you for a little bit to prepare themselves to leave and not come back, then versus them turning 18, be peace out, see you later. You know what I'm saying? There's a huge difference in helping to prepare your kids and just sending them out the door.
And see, I didn't really understand home buying until I got in my late 30s, because I thought, you know, renting was the thing to do. But it just so happened that you see what happens when we have the training at home, when it comes to investments, home buying, saving. Like, I know we teach our kids to save. I don't think
renting's always bad, though.
Say again?
I really don't. I don't think renting's always bad.
It's not a big problem, but you lose a lot when you don't, though.
No, but that's true. But I also think that you shouldn't rush into it unless you're going to stay there. Don't just tell someone, oh, you need to buy a home, you need to buy a home, you need to buy a home, without really telling them, you know what, find out what type of neighborhood, if you want a family, find out what type of schools are around. Because now you got this home, and now you thinking, I want to move.
But no, I disagree, because when you buying this home, I don't care what home you buy. I mean, you know, as long as it's in a certain area that you was talking about, I think let's say, for example, if you get an apartment and you stay in that apartment for 2 years.
Okay.
The difference between staying in that apartment for 2 years and staying in your first home for 2 years.
Okay.
That's an if.
Okay.
The property value was to do something magnificent.
But what if I want to move? See, not everybody is concerned with property value and all this, because watch this. Because then when you buy your home and you told certain things, and little do you know that the economy is going to tank.
Well,
that's
ours
the
got
reality.
shifted in a different way.
But it don't matter. But you
we
don't
got dealt a different hand.
But it don't matter. But you don't know those things. But you can't just tell everybody need to go out on a home when, especially if we're talking about young people.
Oh no, I would definitely say young need to own their home early.
If this is where you want to stay, then own a home. Don't buy a home and then you're going to turn around and then you got to put it on the market.
I'd buy it and turn around and rent it out. I would. Now that I know what I know now, Stats, I'm sorry. I have to disagree with you. I'd buy that house, either rent it or sell it for the equity and keep going about it into the house I want. Think about staying in the house for 2 years, whether the market goes up or down. If it goes down, rent that same house for the price that you would make the payment on or a little bit more, and then take it and go to your next house.
Word.
Because now, go ahead.
Go ahead. Like as a young man, you know, I personally, when I bought my home at 21, you know, and I'm not going to sit here and romanticize it to say that I had this great mind and understanding of real estate. It was just that I knew what I wanted to do. And I called the realtor, and she's still my realtor to this day. I just sold that original home this past year and bought another one. And I just called her and just said I wanted to buy a house. And I didn't know if I could. I didn't know where my qualification was. I just know I had that idea myself. And so come to find out, I bought a house a month later and only spent $500 out of my pocket. So when I was so amazed with, wow, man, I just bought a home. And in that same year, I told my parents I wanted a new car. And I said, well, I want me a new Tahoe. And I went to every big dealership in Charlotte, and I remember it being at 19 years old all the way to 20. I took 5 paycheck stubs, and I remember this. Each one net, I brought home $900, and I said I can afford anything I want on this lot. And they wouldn't give me a car because they said I didn't have bad credit, but I didn't have no credit, and I needed a cosigner, and no one in my family or in that position was willing to cosign for me. So I was kind of discouraged about getting something in terms of credit. But when I called that house lady and she said, oh yeah, you're good, and I bought that house, I was so amazed. I began to tell all my friends, and I had 5 friends personally that bought their own home that didn't know they could buy their own home. So a lot of times we get discouraged through I'm gonna say somewhat ignorance or our fear, and it's not so much complicated to do the right thing and to say that, you know, whether what's renting is good or bad. If you're in a situation to make the best decision about your money and your life, then nobody is subject to miss that opportunity.
I like that. Opportunity and timing is key, Stats, and I think that definitely helps clarify that. And you know, I think you clarified both our ideas, Trav, to where if the timing is right, do it. If it's not, then do what Stat says and rent. Don't let no one force your hand if it's not the best situation for you. So it's going down right now, folks. WBND, it's the Brothers in the Man radio show. We live on air. We're going to take a break. And when we get back, our hot topic of discussion, still burning the oven, 20 ways to restore your faith when everything else is going wrong around you. Be right back. WBND.
The new favorite radio station, WBND Internet Radio, home of the Brothers in the Man radio show.
Yeah, that's right, y'all. You know what time it is. It is the Brothers in the Man radio show, and we are back live on air. The phone lines open 803-692-6370. Speak now, forever hold your peace. Hot topic of discussion. The oven is about to be preheated. We got the Honorable Trav P, the General, the Cap, the Snow White Princess Stats on deck, and of course yours truly, Miss Entertainment, live in the building. So we're gonna go ahead and open up this whole hot topic of discussion about ways to restore your faith when everything goes wrong. So sometimes I know you wish that you can stick your head in a pillow and say kumbaya and all your problems go away, Stats. I know you do. We all want to do it. And sometimes we even get to the point where, you know what? We start questioning ourselves. Why am I here? You know, because your faith is pretty much, if I take everything else away from you, what else do you have to hold on to?
Your faith.
Think about that for a second. If nothing else exists in your life, family gone, friends gone, everything is gone, and you're there by yourself, what gives you the willpower to want to keep doing what you do? You see what I'm saying? Because at several moments in our life, we come to hit a realization road. And that realization road is you and that person in the mirror. And when you see that person in the mirror, a decision has to be made. Do I stop or do I continue? And when you decide at any given point, I want you to remember this before I go forward, is that whatever the decision you make, you're going to have to remember not only are you involved, but you're going to have to think about all the other lives that's involved. Think about some of the people that has taken the easy way out at some point in life, you know, and think about all the people that were affected by it. Because I think about life, and I don't take life too short. I think life is a valuable thing. And when we truly embrace it and understand it and realize who we are and what we have on the inside of us, I don't care what you go through. I don't care what it is, death, finances, relationship, whatever you go through, it's only a season.
Yeah.
And a season sometimes seems like a lifetime. Think about those 3 months of the year. Summer, winter, spring, and fall. It be 99, 101, depending on where you at, 150, I don't know. But during that moment, you feel like the bottom's going to fall out. You know, I don't know how I'm going to get through this.
Ooh,
exactly.
I ain't gonna make it.
You know, but then at that certain point, you're like, whoo, I'm still here. I made it. You know, the snowstorm, you get, 20 feet of snow. You feel like the world's coming to an end. Oh, Lord, I told y'all the world coming to an end. We got 12 feet of snow. Soon as the snow melt, you get your confidence back. Wow, we made it. Natural disasters. I can go on and on and on. Our faith is the exact same way. At some point, we sometimes tend to waver when things get a little bit rocky, but I'm here to tell you now that you gotta take a leap. And that leap is not necessarily a jump. It is a footstep. You have to continue your walk. Because as you continue your walk, all it does is increases your endurance. Okay? So the first step that I want you to realize is, try to find that higher power bigger than you. Okay? Whatever it may be, whether you go through prayer, whether you go through meditation, whether you have, your rabbit's foot or whatever it may be, you just have to be able to find that and pay attention to a way that it's rewarding to you. You see, because sometimes we go through this fight and we feel like we're not being rewarded for it. We feel like we're going through this for nothing. If you ever question yourself and say, why did I do that? And if you live in regrets, all you doing is judging yourself. See, we're not in a position to judge. We're not the judge. All we can do is look at our lives and continue to want to do better. You see? And, faith cometh by hearing, and whatever is coming into your ears is what manifests in your actions. We read, we watch television, some of these things that are polluting our thought processes is subliminal. And we tend to act out in these things. Your faith,
don't even know why.
We don't know why. Your faith can determine your destiny. Whatever you believe to be true, unless someone takes a hammer and taps it upside your head to try to convince you otherwise, you've already made your mind up, Stats. Have you ever gotten to a point where you said, you know what, this is it, I'm putting my foot on the gas pedal and ain't nobody gonna stop me?
Yes.
Determination. What is your will to win? Well, who are you living for? What are you living for? Why are you here? What is your purpose in life? That is the question that everyone wants to ask, but sometimes we can't find the answer. Sometimes we get lost in the translation of others. Okay? So let's just start out with this right here, right? So what are some ways that we can do to better develop ourselves and strengthen ourselves? The first thing I want to tell you is strengthen the mind first. Okay? Your mind is a key essential part of your body. It's an essential part of your works. When you can strengthen what's up here, now you can see clearly. The things that go into your ears, you can hear them more relevant. Now, sometimes we get tricked, you know, because there are some people out here that don't mean us no good. They come into our lives in temporary seasons and we allow them in a permanent position.
I think too, because some people think that everybody that comes your way is for you. And
But how do we know that though? How do we know what's for us?
All things, hold fast to what is good. Test all of it, every single thing, every single person. You test it all, and if it's not for you, you let it go.
But trickery though, Stats, there's some people that come into your life and come with this smile. You know, imagine these people with all this. Let me go back to church hurt for a minute, right? So you have this faith, you ready to go in and worship and, you know, do all these things. And then all of a sudden, you know, the pastor just took all your money or whatever it may be. And now all of a sudden you just lost all faith in everything, you know, and don't know how to pick up the pieces and go again.
But I mean, you got to think about this. You lost faith in everything because of something one man did. Do you see?
Yeah.
Because that's just what that man did. Just because people stand up in a pulpit or claim they prophets and apostles and all this, you can claim to be whatever you want to be. But when you test that spirit, you know people by the fruit that they leave.
Go ahead.
So just because, you know, some man in a pulpit took your money, you know, that doesn't mean like you got to check yourself or you don't let that alter your faith. You have to understand and realize, why did I trust him so much and not what did I miss? Like, you got to learn your lessons. You don't ever waver or come down in your faith because of a person.
Wow. Go ahead, Strap.
I think the seed of disappointment in terms of church hurt, or that, you know, that someone let you down in your faith and now you somewhat lost. I think the seed of that is expectations. And when you put expectations of an answer outside of yourself, I think you set yourself up for that. And just like in the church aspect, you know, when we look at that pastor and holds them as a regard to something that's greater than our own self, and our own self-assurance is what it's kind of like our balance against what comes at us, what people say to us. If you're sure about yourself, you know, you can hear anything and manifest it in how you need it. But when you don't have that self-assurance and you put that expectation for someone else to be your answer, that's why we always get traumatized when the leader does this type of thing that sometimes we didn't feel was right. And, you know, we get emotionally unraveled in our faith and all that. But going back to influence, the essence of influence, that's spirit. So anytime somebody give you an essence of influence, whether it's good or bad, that influence your thought process. The Bible says you are what you think. So if you're thinking negative, your reality and the essence of you is negative. So we must always be conscious of our own self in terms of where we are, what position we're in, and what we're letting come into us in a spirit. And you have to be confident enough to reject what's not good for you. But the less confident you are within your own self, the more you will be subjected to negativity by outside sources.
So what causes our faith to waver? Let's think about that for a second, because a lot of times we put our trust more in man outside of your home than you do for yourself or in the higher power.
Because you need that motivation and that encouragement. People need that, to continue forward. And when you don't get that, and when you get so far down the rabbit hole and things just start piling on top of each other, and it's like, my God, this is happening, and the next day this is happening, this happened, and you are carrying this weight. Sometimes you need that weight taken off of you, but when all that weight is stacked against you, it just happens.
And you know what? I'm all for motivational speakers and people that uplift your soul. Like, all that is great, and I love it. But a lot of times, folks, we can't put all of our faith into people.
No, you
those
can't.
are words of encouragement to help you get up, get out, and get something.
I think that was my biggest thing going through different churches and stuff. Like, you should be fact checking your pastor, period. And some people gasp, and some people look at me like I'm crazy, and so it's like, why wouldn't you? Like, I just can't go on what he's saying. He ain't God. He's not Jesus. He's a man. And and some people, and I'm very glad you went to school, but that is something that someone taught you. So, and I'm not dissing pastors or however, I don't mean to sound it bad, but I mean, you need to make sure that your pastor and what they're telling you lines up with what you believe in. Because if it's not lining up with the word that he's supposed to be preaching out of, then you have a problem. Yeah. Don't think that pastors are untouchable, because they shouldn't be. You should be able to ask your pastor questions. I write down every single Bible verse they say. I need to make sure that what you saying, is lining up with what, with what I think too.
I agree 100%. And sometimes we get lost in that. Yep.
I think the number one question that a lot of people have for themselves when they get down on faith or when they're going, the number one question is always, why me? That why me aspect of, man. And I think that why me comes from not understanding the process of life, just the due process of manifestation. And when you have someone who presents somewhat any type of aspect of inspiration or motivation or teaching, and they present themselves to be above the why me, then like I say, you get those expectations of they're better than me. Only I go through this. That's why I'm down on my luck and I got to get stronger. So we must understand sometimes that the why me has to be why not you, because any progression must be met with regression in terms of everything has to push forward to come out the ground or the sea or to harvest. So we got to change our mentality of thinking that we are above or beyond the stripes of due process of growth.
And that's what I was going to say. Why not you? What makes you exempt from things happening to you?
I think a lot of times, when it comes to our faith, think about the weight of trying to hold on to something that you can't see. Okay. The way this world piles things on us, guys, can be bearing. Okay. The weight of this world weighs heavily on our hearts and in our minds through our family and friends.
But you do understand that when things happen to you, there's a lesson to be learned in that.
But see, that's what I'm saying though. But you have to be strengthened and conditioned to understand and to receive it. Mm-hmm. Because you can say that for 1 minute, but then when your turn is up, to think about a batter, right? Let me give you the best analogy I could think of. So you're at a baseball game and you're in the dugout, and the guy up there get ready to hit, and he's getting ready to swing, hit the ball. Now you back there with all this confidence. Come on, bring it home.
Everybody be sitting at home watching the game and everybody be in the stands. Yeah. Exactly. Would you like to come out here and try it?
So it's easy to say things, and we all do it. I do it. We all do it. It's easy to say it and to do everything when you on the sideline.
No, but that is something that I had to learn. When things are coming against you, that's what you are, and that's something that there's some things that you always have to keep in forefront, or the consequence is your faith wavers. Things are happening to you for a reason, and there's a lesson to be learned in it. What is it that I need to take from this? And you know what? If it's poor decision-making skills, because you done made some bad decisions over and over and over, then the consequences of your poor decision-making skills is something bad happening to you. So your decision-making skills need to get better.
I agree. And whenever my grandmother passed away, I thought I had it together. I never forget that. And, you know, one day it just hit me. And I'm like, wow, you know, I just lost it for a minute. And then I had to come back into the reality that she's in a better place. But see, my flesh said one thing, but my internal spirit was telling me another thing.
But that's actually called grief. Like when you lose someone, you grieve the loss of that person. Nothing you will ever do will bring them back, but you absolutely take that time. Now, where it gets twisted at is where you fall and you get consumed by your grief and you never come out of it. And that happens in a lot of cases. But you also too have to go through that, because until you process your grief, you'll always have, you know, this feeling inside like that. That's just grief that you have to go through.
Folks, it's going down right now. WBND, it's the Brothers in Demand radio show. We live on air. We talking about faith increasing when everything goes wrong. We're going to take a break, and when we get back, more discussion going down WBND. WBND, we back live on air. It's the Brothers in Demand radio show. Is going down right about now. Phone lines open 803-692-6370. And I am telling you, boy, the oven has been burning up. 20 ways to increase your faith when everything else is failing. Honorable Trav Peter Alley-oop coming to you, baby.
And I'm going to dunk it, baby. We talk about the why me in the essence of, that's when we get low in faith. We ask that question, why me? You know, and one of the biggest why me comes up when we're dealing with death, because, you know, in the essence of us praying for our loved ones, and sometimes we lose them, so we say, why me? Why have thou, Lord, forsaken me in that essence? And I think every situation we're in, it's either a blessing or a lesson. And so we must always understand our position. And I think in grief, when we lose a loved one, you know, it's our biggest challenge of faith. But I think one of the biggest lessons in grief is understanding how to let go, because to truly embrace something that is not somewhat of that higher power or that God essence is to be is to get inside yourself and holding things. So the whole healing process, the whole mechanism of understanding that, you know, all things are good through God, you know, it's about letting go. It's about being able to remove yourself from your personal desires. And that's when that why me becomes why not. I told a story earlier in the show about when I was 18 and I had a good job, and you know, I made a lot of money for my age, and I worked there for 10 years, and a lot of people knew me. I always would say things like, and I would hear would say things like, well, the only reason he doing good because he got that good job, and you know, if he ain't had that good job, I would love to see what he would do then. So I worked there for 10 years, and I lost my job on my birthday, and so I began to see people, I mean, family members, close friends, almost look at me in the aspect and say, the game is real now. Let's see who he really is. And so for a while, you know, I was emotional, and it took me a while to realize, well, man, what am I going to do? And I somewhat had to find myself and mature. But the lesson in all of that experience was to understand that in the beginning, I got that job. That job was given to me. I was blessed with the understanding and knowledge of how to utilize it and make me better. And when I understood that I am a divine grace from God and I'm protected by all means, then I realized that I can let go of all those things that may come and go in life, because the source that supplies my grace. You see what I'm saying?
Amen.
And that's the understanding. So we just always got to understand the blessing and the lesson. And sometimes when you're in the pit of the why me, the lesson is to understand why not.
And you know what, Trev? A lot of times, you know, we have to learn how to exercise our faith. You know, that's how you get strengthened. Pain is part of growing. Sometimes you have to realize that life closes doors on you because it's time for you to move forward. You see, sometimes when you get stagnated, God wants you to move forward or wants you to elevate. So he's going to do some things to force you to do what needs to be done. And sometimes it's uncomfortable. When you're in an uncomfortable position, that's when your faith should start increasing, that, you know what, it's not time to be complacent right now. It's time to keep working, time to fight the good fight. And always remember that everything in life is temporary. Every time it rains, it's eventually going to stop. You see what I'm saying? Every time you get hurt, you're eventually going to heal. You know what I'm saying? If it's dark, it's going to eventually turn to light. Whatever you forgive, you're going to have to learn how to forget at some point in life so that you can move forward and grow.
And it's funny you say that, because sometimes it seems as though some people don't think that they're going to have to use their faith. Does that make sense? You know, you said you have to exercise your faith.
Yes.
But I don't. I think some people just go through it like everything's good. I can handle these little problems that come to me. But when something big hits them, it's like, what do you mean this is happening to me? That's a test of your faith.
Yep. And the little ones are the ones that we tend to brush off. You see, the little ones are so it's kind of like a warm up, right? So when you're standing in the midst of the enemy, you know, that's when your test really gets it gets challenged.
It's like the SATs, right?
You're right. And then when the big test come, you done. But
Yeah.
if you don't practice every single day, and let's talk about how do you get out here and start practicing, right? So rule number 1, worrying and complaining. Do you ever, out there in Radio Land, do you ever worry about your bills? Do you ever worry about, oh Lord, I've got to send my kids to college, rent due, XYZ.
Yeah.
Did you know, and this is a proven fact, did you know that those who complain the most accomplish the least? Did you know that?
That
is a proven fact. Let me say this. If you don't pay your bills, what do you think is going to happen?
They're going to get cut off.
They
But
gonna get cut off.
why do you have so many bills?
That was my next point. See, Stats, you read my mind. If you don't accumulate
Right.
bills, what do you think is going to happen?
Right.
So a lot of the times we there's a thing called adding and subtracting. When you add, something has to come off to create balance.
Yeah.
So if you only making $40,000 a year, you cannot spend $50,000 a year. That just don't make good math.
Right.
So then you say, oh Lord, woe is me. You know, oh my faith is getting a little weary. Nah, your thought process and your decision making wasn't up to par.
Right.
So we got to start making better decisions in life in order to see a different
But the thing
result.
is, the bad thing is you hinder your faith when you start, when you do that.
Amen.
Yeah.
Also, too, I want to talk
And
about
I think sometimes we play into the word faith. I think we romanticize it too much. And like you said, we got to be more mindful of our decisions. We have to be more mindful of the things we're doing. So it's just like, I can say, you know, I have faith and I pray that my marriage stays strong. But at the same time, I make decisions and I do things that's going to jeopardize my marriage. So to say,
Right.
to put my marriage solely up against a representation of my faith, it's kind of like a false sense of God games we play. You know, I often tell people, I say, God don't bless people with cars. God don't bless people with houses. God don't bless people with business. He blessed them with the health, strength, and wisdom to obtain desire and go get it. Man does those things for himself.
I like that.
And so we must find the balance. We must find the balance in our responsibility of using our mind and with the grace of God.
Yep. because every little struggle is a step forward. In life, patience is not about waiting. It is the ability to keep a good attitude while working hard on your dreams. Knowing is half the battle. When you put forth the effort, you'll see the results. So let's talk about the battle that we're going on out here, this war that's going on out here. When we talk about principalities and powers and the enemy and people that's hating on us and all this kind of stuff, do not be ashamed of the scars that this world leave on you. All the scars is a reminder that the hurt is over.
And you made it through.
And you made it through.
Mm-hmm.
That means that you've conquered and a lesson has been learned, and it allows you to grow and to become stronger and to keep moving forward. I want you to look at those scars, whether it's a heartbreak, whether it's a divorce, whether it's a loss of a job. Dude, if I'd have been sitting back right now looking at the loss of my job 3 years ago, I'd be in a pity party.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, I said, you know what? Thank you for that one. Time to move forward. And we're gonna keep this party train rolling.
I think one biggest thing in restoring your faith is to tune everyone out around you.
There it is.
You have to. Because for you, against you, confusing you, you know, at some point you just have to put the brakes on every single thing around you and tune people out and get your mind and yourself together. Because if you don't know where you at mentally, then nothing anyone tells you is going to help you. You have to tune them out and not let them impact you so much, and get yourself together to figure out what it is that you want to do.
Others' negativity is not your problem. That was my next segue.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you must be in my mind right now, Stats, because being positive, even when negativity is surrounding you, will help your faith increase. And they'll look at you like you're an alien. Like, what is your problem? Why aren't you getting upset? Why aren't you trying to, exchange words with me? That's one thing that I realize is I have to continue to smile even when others are trying to bring me down or to try to, put this negative energy in my ears. Is when other people treat you opposite of what you want to be treated, you have to shun that. You have to have the ability to take that as a grain of salt, dust the bottom of your feet off, and keep it moving. See, when you entertain the enemy, you become an entertainer in its midst. And you're going to have to rebuke all of that and understand that you're greater than anything that's standing in front of you.
And we're so used to reacting and it really starts in school. Oh, you gonna let him get away with that? Oh, he said that about your mama, or he said that about this, or what you gonna do about it? And you always have like outsiders and little cheerleaders doing all this type of stuff because nobody wants to turn around and walk away. Nobody wants to do that. Oh man, he just a punk. She this, she that. She just turned around and walked away. She ain't even say nothing. No.
I just said that in my status, that you got to turn the other cheek sometimes to stay focused.
Because you know what? What you're doing, you're a waste of my time. And I don't have time to waste.
No.
So, no, I'm not going to put my energy and my time into some nonsense because it's not relevant.
So where's your focus? Let's talk about faith and focus, right? So a lot of times people will shift your focus to alter your destiny
in the blink of an eye,
because
and sometimes you don't even know it.
They see your progress. Oh, watch this, folks. I'm not playing. People see your progress and will come in and try to bring up your past.
Oh, it's like Mario Kart. Hold on. It's like Mario Kart. How you how you throw out the banana peel?
Correct.
To try and make them slip a little bit.
And you have to be mindful of that, man, because your focus could be shifted as soon as someone whispers something in your ear. So-and-so, did you know, remember when you used to do this? And you've already outgrown that. And then you have these people that's in the background, your cheerleaders, reminding you that, you used to be nobody and now you think you somebody.
And then but you know what you say? Well, look, ain't God good? Look at where I am now. What you got going on again?
Yeah. So you have to keep moving, folks. Do not let anyone alter your path.
I want to say, like, in terms of don't let anyone alter your path. You know, like me, myself, man, you know, I'm proud to know my strengths and exercise my strength. And I tell people that even a strong person like myself has weak moments. But when I fall weak, it's around people I love. Therefore, it only lasts a moment. So in terms of when we get in our weakness, we always got to know what it is, who it is, and how we do things that makes us smile. And we got to take the initiative to always put ourselves in that situation. I think, how do you restore your faith? You got to know the things that give you faith, the things that make you strong, the things that make you want to strive. And you got to feed your spirit with that more. But sometimes we get so much in the defeated aspect of like, you know, just stuck into the why me. And me personally, I played sports my whole life. You know, I always been a very aggressive, physical type guy. So that's just in my nature, right? And so even now, and even in my personal life, I'm real aggressive with my message, and I know that's just me, but it's all coming from a place of love. And my reason for that is, see, sometimes when you represent righteousness and good, it's always being subject to being the victim of negative. How do we escape negative? How do we avoid the negative things happening to us? And the sports part of me, who was an offensive player, you know, by nature in football, I scored the touchdown, and I understood that it was an opposition of a defense that had the mindset, the ability, and the desire to stop me. So I knew that in my offense, I had to apply that same force, that same confidence, that same will to defeat that negative defense designed to stop me. So in terms of my aggression and in terms of how we got to think, we got to stop being passive and stop letting just being thankful that the bully didn't bully us today. And see, when we get past that mentality and stop the bully and make him respect your good, make him respect your faith, make him respect your positive in any situation, we begin to win the battle. So sometimes I get aggressive, and I just want to say that because I feel it in my spirit now. Amen. But how do we restore our faith? We got to fight to keep from losing it.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? True strength comes when you learn how to appreciate life. That's the strength. Life produces strength because there's something about living that allows you to want to fulfill your purpose. You know what I'm saying? When you truly identify that, in the end, loving yourself gives you more assurance that you can continue cherishing memories and moments, and sometimes your failures can also be your fulfillment, because when you lose certain things in life, you gain in return. Remember, sometimes you have to let go in order to gain. We tend to hoard happiness. You know, happiness, we have to give that away, because the more you give it away, it creates happier people around you. Yes. You see, we are the source. You are a living source. You are a living vessel. The best thing you can do is keep living life. Don't be afraid to love over and over again. Don't be afraid to live. Don't be afraid to dream. Don't let the hard lessons harden your heart and feel like, you know what, I'm a failure. I can't, accomplish anything. I can't find a good man. I can't find a good woman. They all taken. You mean to tell me out of 1 billion people in this world, we can't find one? You know what I'm saying? So that's that poisonous mentality that we've been fed. That's what we sit back in our room sometime and feel like, you know what, we can't accomplish anything. When you feel like quitting, remember that sometimes things have to go very wrong before you can get it right. You sometimes have to go through the worst to arrive at your best. And I'm here to tell you that the challenge is set before you, but the finish line is up to you. However long it take you to get there, you run your race at your pace whatever's comfortable for you. Do not let no one dictate your destiny. It's your life. Fulfill it and live it to the best that you can. I'm Mr. Entertainment, and I approve that message. Stats, give me some words of wisdom.
I always like the quote, change your thinking and you change your world. Sometimes the smallest step in the right direction ends up being the biggest step of your life. Tiptoe if you must, but take the step.
Dang, boy, I like those steps, baby. I'm all about steps. Baby steps, big steps.
Crawl.
Skip.
Tiptoe. I don't care how you
bunny
get there.
Hop. Just get
Army.
there.
What's that? Army crawl? Is there a certain name for that? All that.
Yeah, where you get your elbows and move under the fire.
As long as I'm moving forward.
Yeah, man, love it. Trav P, what you got for me?
When the rug gets rolling, nobody's around. But when the rug gets rolling, everything starts crumbling down. But don't give up. Keep your head to the sky. 'Cause when the rug is rolling, you must understand that every living soul that has ever lived was created equally as you. God loved you as he loved anything ever created. And you must stand in that mirror, understand what you're looking at, who you're looking at, and understand the power invested in you. And you take that power and you put it up against anything that tells you what you're not. I love you.
Wow. That's what I'm talking about, baby boy. So, folks, I want to leave you with these last few words of wisdom is that, you know what? Life can be tough. I agree. But you are a little bit tougher than the hand that life dealt you. If you can find it in your heart to make others smile and not stress over things as they begin to change, live life in its simplicity, be generous, speak truthful, work diligent. Even if you fall short, keep growing, because at some point you're going to keep going. Think positive, eat healthy, exercise, work less, try hard, laugh often, and get plenty of sleep. Folks, you've been tuned in to WBND Radio, the Brothers in the Man radio show. Check us out every Tuesday and Thursday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. right here on your favorite inspiration station, WBND Radio. Those on the TuneIn Radio app, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Go like us at Brothers in Demand. Coming up next, Journey, a meeting of the minds. Are you a complainer or a game changer? You want to check out my girl Kimberly Collins, the Educated Natural, coming up next at 8:15. We love you. We got to get up out of here. Peace and let your yay be yay and your nose be no. We gone. Peace.